Hello, my loves. It is mid-November and sales have been absolutely crazy. I just went to the post office and dropped off 24 packages for my weekend sales. But we're not talking about November in this video. We are actually talking about October. So we're going to run it back a little bit and talk about eBay specifically. Now, I had quite a few sales in October on eBay, more than normal, but I think it's because I've been trying to stock my store a little bit heavier now that I'm getting more into reselling and I'm getting more comfortable with picking up and choosing on what I can list certain items for. Some of the things are, you'll see, some of them are pretty low price, but some of them are also high price. It's just, it's a give and take in terms of reselling. So the very first thing in October to sell on eBay specifically was a Burberry button-up shirt. This came from consignment from a friend of mine, so I did pay out 50-50 on this one. It sold for $13. The buyer did pay for shipping, and like I said, I did go ahead and pay out my friend on this. The second thing to sell was a women's no boundaries dress. This came from a ThredUp rescue box. I was actually very surprised that this sold because I really didn't think it would, but it's something that I put up there anyways because, some money is better than no money. I thought this would go for 99 cents, but it didn't. It went for $4.60. The buyer also paid for shipping for it. Now, I estimate my cost of goods to be just under $2. For, easy math's sake, I put in $2, but I really focus on money in versus money out. So I don't necessarily pay attention to how much I spend on each individual item. I just make sure that what I'm making is obviously more than what I paid for it. In this case, it absolutely was. This next piece also came from a ThredUp rescue box and it sold for $13 and the buyer did also pay for shipping for it. This was a Gap ribbed mock neck sweater. This obviously I went for a little bit more money than I thought it would as well. Some of these that come from ThredUp, I get really, I don't know, I don't think that things are gonna go for very much, but then I end up listing them anyways because, why not? Some money is better than no money. And in these two cases, that strategy definitely worked out. On other cases, not so much. Also from a ThredUp rescue box was these girls' leggings. They were like blue camel print leggings. These sold for $7. The buyer did pay for shipping. Of course, because my cost of goods was less than $2 on that, I did make money just like the other ones. This is not big money, not crazy money, but I'm making money, which I'm happy that I made money because this next piece actually came at a loss to me, but it was something out my door, which is kind of my goal, just trying to get things moving because I do have so much inventory at this point. This BP DIY multi charm necklace came from a Quick Lots general merchandise Nordstrom half pallet. I probably mixed up that phrasing because it's such long phrasing. I forget how they actually name it. I don't think Quick Lots actually has that half pallet available anymore. I think they have the full pallet, just not the half pallet. They do seem to be going a different direction and trying to get more onto Whatnot themselves. So I anticipate, those half pallets, those clothing boxes that they used to have are kind of, gone. Or at least I haven't seen them very much, but I really haven't been paying all that much attention to them, to be honest, because I've been so focused on ThredUp. But anyways, this necklace piece only sold for 99 cents and the buyer didn't even pay enough to cover the shipping. So I actually ended up paying to ship this out, but somebody already bought it and I didn't realize that I didn't charge enough until somebody bought it. So I went ahead and sent it out. It's just the cost of doing business in some cases. I know some people take free returns and different things. By the way, I do not take free returns unless, of course, it is something that's an issue for me. So in my mind, it's kind of, you either take free returns and you eat some costs doing that, or you don't take free returns and you let things go for a little bit cheaper. In my mind, it's kind of, the same thing. It came as a loss, but it's Oh boy, mid-sentence there, my alarm went off actually to remind myself to take out the garbage can. That is like my one job that I have on Mondays, is take out the garbage, and I always forget. So I set an alarm for myself for every single Monday at a certain time to make sure I take out the garbage. Am I the only one that does that? Like sets an alarm at specific time to make sure that I get just like everyday tasks done, because my mind is like, I have so many tabs open at one time. I am a middle school assistant principal, and if you know anything about education or leadership in general, my mind is just like a million miles a minute. And then add on reselling and YouTube on top of that, I definitely have to keep myself in check, hence the alarm cutting off mid-sentence there. Back to some sales. This next piece, I actually did take a return and refunded the buyer because it was a mistake that, I didn't notice as I was listing, taking pictures, and of course, sending this item out. This was a Faithful the Brand midi dress. This came from a flip lot that I did buy out, so I bought it out for a $4 cost of goods. This sold for $21.60. Now, what I didn't realize was on the zipper, the seam was kind of breaking apart on the zipper. So the buyer, took pictures, let me know what happened. I said, okay, go ahead, send it back. I'll give you a refund, and everything was perfectly fine with that. I didn't have any issues with the return or anything. The buyer was, completely understanding because, it was an honest mistake and I owned up for it. But I actually ended up sending this out in another flip lot, and I, of course, listed that in the description of the flip lot. You do have to disclose any flaws. I think this flip lot actually ended up with one of you. So if you did end up with it, make sure you check that zipper, because I did not. So read that description. Make sure you get it all good to go. But I do want to say that Flip actually ended up buying out this lot themselves. And I always wonder, does Flip still tell the seller that they are putting commission into the client's pocket? Or do they tell the buyer or seller, I always, mix up those phrases. Do they tell the seller that they actually bought out the lot and they're paying out Flip? I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen Flip actually buy out a lot, but I did take that option because, it was quick money, and I knew a lot of this stuff either came from Flip, where I had a $4 cost of goods, or it did come from ThreadUp, where, some of this ThreadUp stuff I'm just willing to take, excuse me, whatever I can get for it. But I don't know, if that Flip lot ended up to you, let me know. What did it look like on your end? Did Flip even tell you anything on your end? This next piece also came from a flip lot. This was an Adidas long sleeve gray shirt. This sold for $12. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. I believe I did not buy out this lot just yet. I think that I bought it out just after this. This might have been like the last piece that I had that I actually paid out the client for, which would have ended up being, I don't know, roughly the $4 anyways. And that's typically what I buy out lots for, is the $4. So, it evened out. This next one, the buyer got a deal of a lifetime on this one because of my mistake. I think that I thought that I had it on auction for like $10, like $10.01. I had it on auction for a penny, literally one single penny, that somebody bought this Eddie Bauer jacket for. So I was so pissed when I saw that sale come through, because I have no idea how it even got listed for a penny. I didn't even realize that I could do that. But again, just like the other piece, somebody already bought it and I wasn't going to cancel the sale. So somebody made out. Luckily, they did pay for shipping for it, so I didn't have to eat the shipping cost on it. but 1 cent for an Eddie Bauer jacket that was in perfect condition. I did get it from a ThredUp rescue box, so my cost of goods wasn't that high, but I know I definitely should have gotten way more than a penny, at least $10 for this one. I just got a notification that another flip lot was approved, so I hope it gets picked up tonight, because a lot of the like high-end pieces that I got in a ThredUp rescue box that I've recently opened up, I send into flip, just, you know, trying to take some easy money where I can get it, hoping that somebody else knows what they're looking at and they can be an expert in it. There were a couple of pieces, like there was a Vera Wing dress, but it was stained and I didn't want to put the time and effort into it. And I knew even if I doubled my money onto it going through flip, it was, you know, out of my house. It was a huge dress, like a bridesmaid's dress with layers and layers and layers on it, and I didn't really want to store it. So in instances like that, or like I had a suit from a friend of mine that just donated a whole bunch of stuff and, you know, is completely free to me. I didn't care what I'm going to get for this. I didn't want to store it though. That's the type of stuff that I'm putting out to flip. So I was happy to see that notification come through that it was just accepted. And then at 6 o'clock, which is in 4 minutes, it will start opening up to allow people to apply for the lot. This Forever 21 striped like rainbow print cropped blouse came from a ThredUp rescue box. This sold for 99 cents. The buyer also paid for shipping on this one. This BMW black short sleeve polo shirt came from some free inventory that I have been sourcing from the same person. I initially connected with this person through Nextdoor, but you know, obviously we moved our relationship on since then. Been going back to this person probably like more than a year now, definitely more than a year, about a year and a half at this point. Every time they clean out their closet, they just give me a call, tell me to come on over. I pick up a whole bunch of stuff and go ahead and list it. This was one of her husband's pieces. It sold for $6. The buyer also paid for shipping. These next 2 pieces also came from that same person. So the next 2 also completely free to me. This next one was an Ann Taylor loft dress. It sold for $9. The buyer did pay for shipping. And then the piece after that was a Tommy Hilfiger, a white t-shirt, like a ribbed long sleeve t-shirt. It sold for $6 and the buyer paid for shipping. This men's Under Armour long sleeve black shirt came from a flip lot. It sold for $4.80 and the buyer did pay for shipping on it. I did have to then go ahead and pay out the client. Obviously, I didn't pay them out very much because it only sold for $4.80, but I think I put that, I estimated it would only sell for $1 anyway, so I was, you know, pretty spot on with that one. On October 10th, this black ribbed cropped t-shirt sold for $6.01. The buyer did pay for shipping. This one came from a ThredUp rescue box. I also did get quite a bit aware of it, so it was kind of, you know, free inventory for me. If you think of it in terms of I bought it for myself, which I really didn't. I just, you know, wore it until it sold, which I do a couple of times. I have no shame in that game. If something fits me and it's already used, you know, I'm gonna wear it. Usually all the stuff in my videos are things that are my inventory and I wear, such as this sweater I am wearing right now. I do always have everything linked in my description of what I'm wearing, just in case you're interested. You know, why not spread the wealth? This Free People tank top came from a ThredUp rescue box in which I bought out, so it had a $4 cost of goods on it. It sold for $9.15. The buyer also did pay for shipping on it, so I, you know, roughly doubled my money on that one. Obviously, $4 isn't, you know, the craziest profit to make, but it's still making profit nonetheless. These little sales add up over time. I did just reach a 90-day total on eBay of $2,000, which I kept inching and inching and inching and inching and inching. And I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm just going to let all these little sales go. And that's kind of what I was doing all through October, is just letting things fly. And I reached my $2,000 goal. So now obviously I am trying to hit $3,000. So I'm taking the little sales, but I'm trying to be more aggressive with my pricing in November as well. And I'm inching my way there. I don't think that I'm going to get there before December, but I'm hoping I will be there before January. So definitely, keep up with my channel to see where I'm at with that. If you're not subscribed, of course, hit the subscribe button. That allows you to continue to go ahead and follow my journey. If you have any information in terms of, am I pricing things high, pricing things too low, I would absolutely love to hear your opinion on that. Come on, join the conversation down in the comments section. The next piece that did sell was also from a ThredUp rescue box. This was a Philosophy blue jacket, like a blazer, kind of like a ponte knit blazer that had some zippers on it. It sold for $18 and the buyer did pay for shipping on that. I did not buy out that particular lot, so I did have to go ahead and pay out the client. It is roughly 50% of the actual profits on that one. This John Barbato's button down or button up shirt came from a flip lot. This sold for $13.50. The buyer also did pay for shipping on this one. Because it came from flip, I did have to, go ahead and pay out the client. This pink lily sweater, like animal print sweater, also came from a flip lot, a different flip lot. No, it's the exact same flip lot actually. This one sold for $7. The buyer did also pay for shipping. No, that sweater was the same flip lot as the blue blazer, not the same as the Barbato shirt. So I didn't want to mix those two up. But this next piece came from a ThredUp rescue box. It was a Forever 21 purple ribbed tank top. This is another one that sold for 1 penny. Like I said, I'm trying to let things go for pretty cheap just to get them out of here. This one for 1 penny, I don't know what I was thinking when I put things for 1 penny, but I wasn't as bummed as the Eddie Bauer jacket, that's for sure, because, Forever 21, I would pay a penny for it. The other one, probably I personally would end up paying a little bit more than that. But anyway, the buyer did pay for shipping on this one. So, I did okay on the shipping. Definitely lost money on the sale overall. This next piece, I was so surprised that this has been sitting and sitting and sitting in my store for probably over a year now. This came from that free inventory, the same person that I connected with through Nextdoor. I think I got this sweater on one of the first times I went to this person, thinking that it was gonna go super fast. It was new with tags. It was pink Victoria's Secret. It was bright pink, thinking Barbiecore, it would go for sure. It ended up selling for $12. The buyer did not pay for shipping. So this was free shipping. I definitely thought it would go for more than this, but it didn't. But it was something that was, out of my house. Like I said, I was just trying to let things fly in the month of October. This next piece came from a ThredUp rescue box. This was a Lululemon's Wonder Under pair of leggings. These sold for $18. The buyer also paid for shipping on these. This Zara 3/4 sleeve mini dress came from, of course, that free inventory. This sold for $9 and the buyer also paid for shipping for it. Going back to, another one of those sales where I was just trying to move things out completely old inventory. This BP neon green beanie, it was a kid's beanie. It came from the Quick Lots, Nordstrom, general merchandise, half pallet, however you want to phrase that, mix up the words however you want. You know what I mean there. This sold for $4.30 and it was free shipping. So I lost money on it. But again, it was something that was out of my house. This next piece actually sold right when I was wearing it. I was actually on a birthday trip in New York and I was at lunch on my phone. Of course, We were outside just enjoying life, doing the phone thing. Saw the notification come through and I said, hey, I'm wearing this shirt right now. I guess when we get back home, I got to go ahead and wash it really quick and go ahead and send it out. This ended up selling for $2.29. The buyer did pay for shipping. I was okay with it letting go for that cheap because it did come from that free inventory that I sourced. By the way, my birthday trip in New York was amazing. We stayed at the Chatwell in New York, which is like just out of Times Square, but it's kind of like on a side street, so it's quiet, but you're still close enough to Times Square if you want to. There was an amazing bathtub. I will have to show you a little clip of it, but I took entirely too much of my time in this bath. I don't have a bath at home, and I was just like living the dream in it, enjoying every single moment of it. But when I did get back, I did, go ahead and wash the shirt that I was wearing and send it on its way. This next piece also came from that free inventory. This was a Loft women's shorts. They were kind of orange and floral print. These sold for $4.30. The buyer also paid for shipping. Also, on the same day, my birthday trip, a pair of H&M black leggings sold. These came from a ThredUp rescue box. These sold for $1.25, but the buyer did pay for shipping on this one. This next one, though, came from the free inventory. It was this woman's husband's shirt that sold. It was a Norton motorcycle shirt. This sold for $6.60. The buyer also paid for shipping. Remember, it was free inventory, so all that profit came to me. Same day, still while I'm on vacation, still free inventory. This Tommy Hilfiger roll tab blouse, or not blouse, it was a shirt dress sold for $15.51. The buyer did pay for shipping. Moving right along, this next piece came from that free inventory that I connected with, the person through next door. This was an Urban Outfitters dress. It was like a white dress. This sold for $11.80. The buyer also did pay for shipping on this piece. Another 1-cent piece coming up. This one did come from the free inventory, so, free 1 cent, still lost money because I did have to then, of course, pay the eBay fees. But this was a Charter Club 100% linen blouse. It sold for the penny, and then the buyer did pay for shipping. Now, the buyer did leave feedback saying, like, they couldn't believe that they got this piece basically for free just for paying the shipping. I was happy that they put the positive feedback on it, but it made me realize like I definitely should have charged a little bit more. But, it made somebody's day that they were able to get this beautiful blouse. I think they said something like that, but I'll put a little snippet here of what they did end up saying, basically just for the price of the shipping. This next piece came from a ThredUp rescue box. It was a Croft & Barrow black V-neck sweater. It had like the button-up shirt underneath, and then it was actually a sweater, so it had that kind of effect of a layered like preppy look, but it was just one piece. This sold for $3.22. That 22 cents tells me that it was sent actually on an offers to watchers. I always put it at 22 cents just so that in my mind, I remember as I'm making these videos that it was an offer to watcher. The buyer did pay for shipping on it. That 22 cents also, I feel like people are like caught off guard, so they look at the offer a little bit quicker than if it was just to be like $3 or $4. People are like, oh, 22 cents, that's, a little bit different. I usually get people to accept based on that alone, weird psychology, but it works. This next piece was from the brand Next, and it also came from the free inventory. This sold for $5. The buyer also did pay for shipping for this. These next couple of pieces also came from the free inventory. This next one actually came from a repeat buyer. If you didn't know, eBay now tells you right away if somebody is a repeat buyer. They make it very obvious for you if they've come back to your store more than once. I get super excited when I see that, and of course I make extra care to make sure that I give a good deal and make sure that I ship out the item right away. I usually ship the item out, same day as it comes in. If something's going on, if I do have the 2-day handling time on it, I do sometimes take the 2 days, but if I see it as a repeat buyer, I try to ship it out right away, right when I get home from work, just because I'm so thankful that somebody is coming back to my store more than once. This piece though was a Tommy Hilfiger long sleeve dress. Again, came from the free inventory. It sold for $17 and the buyer did pay for shipping on this one. This other one also came from the free inventory. I did wear this one all through my trip to New York as well, so I did get a little bit of wear out of it. This amazingly soft is what it was called, American Eagle tie-dye sweatshirt. It sold for $4.80. The buyer did pay for shipping on it. This is something that the buyer did win on an auction. They took like forever to pay on it. And I did, of course, send out the little payment reminders that eBay makes available to you. The buyer did send me a little message that said, "Oh my gosh, I completely forgot I got this. I don't bid on things very often." So, I understand. I've done that before where I bid on something like before I was super into eBay, let it sit there, and then I completely, forgot about it. I did end up paying it just like this customer did, but it took me, I think, a day to pay, which for me, that's a big deal because I try to pay things like right away when I win a bid, but in that instance, I hadn't logged in a couple of days, and I'm guessing that's the same thing that happened with this customer as well. This Express olive green romper came from, of course, free inventory as well. It sold for 99 cents. The buyer also did pay for shipping on it. So it's not as little as the 1 cent auctions, but 99 cents, not really obviously making that much money on it, like at all. I'm basically paying the eBay fees on it, but it was free. This 2020 Panini Prism Fitzpatrick Steelers card came from one of those like break packs from 2020 that everyone was like all about. There's people getting like stabbed at Target trying to like get to these packs and whatnot. This is one of the breaks that my mom and I actually like took our chances and broke apart the box for, which, thinking back, the ones that we didn't break apart and we just sold as the pack did a lot worse. Like the ones we broke apart did worse than the ones that we just sold as a pack. Obviously, because this sold for $1, the buyer did pay for shipping. Now, if you see the cost of shipping is so low, it's because eBay actually has this, I don't know, I guess program you would call it, where you can send it in an actual like mail envelope. So I just like find a envelope from like a birthday card or something that obviously hasn't been used. When I give cards to like my significant other, I don't use the envelope because, they're in my house with me. I don't need to mail anything. So I have, these different envelopes laying around, or like sometimes I get like envelopes from bills and whatnot. So there's always an envelope laying around somewhere around the house that I'm able to send these cards out for. And it is about $1 for shipping on that. These Gap 1969 jeans came from that free inventory, the same person that I connected with through Nextdoor. These sold for $10. The buyer also did pay for shipping on these ones. This next item was one of the ones that I let go. Like, I actually paid more money to send it than it was actually worth. And then, of course, then I had to pay eBay's platform fees as well as this one. So this was a complete loss. plus money. But this was another card from that 2020 break that I was talking about. This was a Josh Norman Bills card. This sold for 30 cents. I did not have the buyer pay for shipping on this one. And remember, I said the shipping is just about $1. So like I said, I had to pay out on this one. So there are a couple of sales that I probably shouldn't have sold, but my focus in October was just getting things out. And now in November, I am raising the prices a little bit more because people get in this mindset of like during the holidays that they want to get this crazy deal. So all of the stores do this as well, raise the prices up so then you can give this huge discount on Black Friday, or we're saying Secondhand Sunday this year, or Small Business Saturday, whatever you want to call it. People are expecting deals, so I'm raising the prices so that I can slash the prices back down or accept crazy offers. But in October, my focus was just getting things at the lowest possible price, and sometimes in this case, letting things go for way too cheap, but letting people get hooked in, so hopefully they're coming back as a repeat buyer. This Inc. or INC International Concepts blouse came from that free inventory. This ended up selling for $1.25. This like cutout tan blouse. It did have like puff sleeves. I thought it was super cute. I wish it was another piece that I wish would have went a little bit more, but again, focusing on getting things out. The buyer did pay for shipping on this one though, and it was free, so I guess I did technically like make a little bit of money, and the buyer did overpay on shipping just a little bit, but not by very much. It basically takes care of the platform fees. Another piece, just, trying to get out of the house. These are, realistic sales that you are seeing here. This is reality of what reselling is in some cases. This Forever 21 cropped blouse came from a thread-up rescue box. I did also get a little bit of wear on this, so, of course, taking that into account of how much I sell it for, it sold for 99 cents. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. These UGG clogs were a little bit used up, a little bit destroyed, so I was willing to accept basically anything for them. I was kind of surprised that they went as high as they did because they were pretty beat up, to be honest. These sold for $25. Luckily, the buyer did pay for shipping for them. This did come from a flip lot that really was not a good flip lot. So typically when I buy out lots, I try to stick with the $4 cost of goods because this lot really was not good. Like, it was really bad. I bought things out for just $2 on this one. So my cost of goods was just $2. So I definitely made money on it, but I was hoping that I would make a little bit more because it is UGG. When I did get it, it was pretty beat up though. This Loft lilac purple blouse came from that free inventory, all about the free inventory around here. This sold for $10.50. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. More free inventory. This Loft red flutter sleeve dress sold for $6.40. The buyer did not pay for shipping for this one though, so I did have to eat the shipping cost, and it basically then sold for free. This Eddie Bauer cotton thermal long sleeve shirt came from a flip lot. I want to make sure I said flip and not thread up in that one. Definitely flip. It sold from a flip lot. It sold for $6.99. The buyer did pay for shipping. Because it came from flip, I did have to go ahead and pay out the client for this one. This Loft puff sleeve t-shirt came from that free inventory, same inventory that I've been sourcing all along. This sold for $4, and the buyer also did pay for shipping on this one. This Orvis Trout long sleeve shirt came from another flip lot. This sold for $8.50. The buyer did pay for shipping. Another piece that I just, was trying to let go. This one did come from a thread-up rescue box. These Yogi Pace navy yoga pants, like dress pant, yoga pant conversion deal. I don't know, collab, whatever you want to call them. They're like a cross between yoga pants and dress pants. These sold for 99 cents. The buyer did go ahead and pay for shipping on them though. Another thread up piece, this Old Navy camel color sweater sold for 99 cents. This sweater was from a couple of flip-flops ago, so it's probably about a year old at this point, and it's selling for 99 cents. With the buyer did pay for shipping for it. Because it was so old, I was perfectly okay with letting this one go at this low of price. This cream neck warmer was huge. Like, I remember putting it on just to like kind of figure it out, and it was like way down here. So I never really figured out like who it works for. So I'm happy that somebody ended up buying it. Of course, I did put the measurements in the listing just to make people aware. If you do follow me on Instagram, I had this like whole thing about it, asking people like what it was, because at first I couldn't figure it out. There was this puff, there was like a loop thing going on. I don't know. I wish I had it with you or with me here to like show you what it was, because at first I was just so confused on what it even was, because it wasn't in the loop initially. But anyway, this sold for $4.99. The buyer did not pay for shipping for it. It was pretty old. This came from a Quick Lots Amazon pallet, which I don't think they have those pallets available at all anymore, which I'm kind of sad about because I made so much money off of it. I probably would have gotten another one, but I think, as I said before, I think Quick Lots is kind of, shifting a little bit in their business style right now. This Sandro Paris dress came from a flip-flop that I bought out, so the cost of goods on this one was $4. This sold for $30. The buyer did pay for shipping. Now this sold on global shipping. If you're unsure of the global shipping program within eBay, they do allow you to ship internationally, and the pieces get sent to, I think it's like Kentucky, the pieces get sent to, and they take care of like all of the international shipping fees. You don't really have to worry about anything. You just print off a label just like normal, and everything is taken care of, all the different fees, all the different customs, everything is taken care of for you. So it's actually pretty easy. So if you're afraid to ship internationally, please don't be afraid. They take care of all of the work for you. All you have to do is click the little like toggle over to say, yes, you're gonna do the international shipping. There are some pieces that they won't allow you to do the international shipping. Like I have a fur coat that I, sourced, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago from, I think the company now is called Helpsy. That like when they were first starting out, they had like all of these like pre-order or pre-boxes that you can get, and I went ahead and grabbed one of the fur coat ones. That was a pretty good deal. But anyway, I noticed that I can't ship international on those pieces just because, laws are different in different countries. This loft blouse came from the free inventory. This sold for $1.99. The buyer did pay for shipping for this one. Now, this is the third time this piece has sold. The first 2 times I accidentally had the wrong size on it. I was able to cancel the order after communicating with the first buyer. I went ahead, canceled, and relisted. And when I relisted, I forgot to change the size a second time, and it sold a second time at the wrong size. Communicated with the buyer again, went ahead and canceled. I completely canceled at that point. I didn't hit cancel and relist. I just completely relisted the item to make sure I didn't do it a third time. Third time's the charm. It sold within the same week for the $1.99 with shipping. Another piece from the free inventory. Anytime you see loft, you can pretty much assume it came from the free inventory. These were gingham print navy and white shorts. These sold for $6.50. The buyer did pay for shipping. So at this point, I am extremely happy to be blessed to be getting all of this free inventory, because even if it only sells for $6.50, I am still making profit on it without a doubt. This next one did not come from the free inventory. It actually came from a flip lot. These Athleta Sculptex jeans or pants, they were size 0, so I knew they were going to be sitting for a while, but they did end up selling. These sold for $10. The buyer did pay for shipping because it was flip. I did have to go ahead and then pay out the client for it as well. This Craft and Borrow like cream colored blouse came from a ThredUp rescue box. This sold for $4.80. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. This Gap blouse came from free inventory along with all the loft and next pieces. This was a size medium. It was white. It sold for $11.20. The buyer did go ahead and pay for shipping for it as well. And also from the free inventory, this Knox Rose, which is a Target brand dress, sold for $1.25, but again, free inventory, so I'm okay with taking that lower price. The buyer did pay for shipping. So in the month of October on eBay, I did, like I said, get, I was able to get rid of some things, but maybe for not as much money as I would have hoped. But November, as I said, and I'm raising the prices and I'm able to sell things at a little bit of a higher price. If you want to see what my November sales are and you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That allows my videos just to continue to show up on your homepage, but it also makes sure that YouTube knows that you appreciate this content and the videos show up on other homepages as well. If you enjoyed this video, I super appreciate you going ahead and hit that like button. YouTube also thinks that you might like this video here.